All right, so what you're seeing here is the schematic of the design that I came up with to hold the anti-backlash nuts. So it's a two-part design. This part here goes on the bottom and this part here goes on the top. The intent for this is that the top has the 4 holes, M3 screws, and the center is a hole for 3/8, so that's where the lead screw goes through. On this side, again, it has the hole in the center for the lead screw, but these 4 holes here are 1/8 inch and are not tapped at all. They're just passed through. And I'm not sure if you can see here, these 2 lines are for this hole and this hole that are on the side. So this is a 1 inch by 1 inch, 1/4 inch thick piece of aluminum that has 2 holes on the sides, that these are what are going to mount it against the side plates, the left plate and the right plate. Now, the intent of this is that in order not to have to use a 1/2 inch thick piece of material and drill and tap that I will use 2 pieces, make them a little bit more manageable. And this one acts as a nut in a sense with 4 threads, and it compresses against this one here. My original intent was to show you the drilling of all these holes, but unfortunately due to time constraints I was not able to record that. So what I did was I did them, and I'm going to show them to you now. So this here, I put a little N for nut, is this side. So as you can see is right through. I haven't tapped them yet. One note about these, both of them. Unfortunately, I was a little distracted, again, like I said, time constraints, when I was drilling. And instead of using the bit for the M3 on these, I used the bit for the M4 screws that I was using on the other plates for the platform. So unfortunately I got distracted and I drilled them bigger than I needed. So just, don't make my mistake and pay attention. So I am not going to tap these M4s. And I will explain to you what I will be doing with them, because I don't want to waste all this work that I did. So these are what would have been the nut, and technically are still on top. These here are this side here. Again, same spacing, 1/8 inch. There's no problem with these. You can see the holes in the sides here. Now these, again, I drilled them for M4 screws. So these I will be tapping for M4 screws. I will need to widen the hole a little bit on the side plates, because again I intended to use M3 screws. It's not a huge problem, but I wanted to have more of the wall left over. So I'll show you what I'm going to do when I'm tapping these, in case you're curious. And in case you don't know what actually tapping means, if you've never done that and you don't know how to do it, I'll show you how to do it on these 2 side screws. So what I'll show you is what I plan to do with these before I actually go ahead and do the tapping. So I'm sure you recognize this. This is the anti-backlash nut. This technically goes together like this on the lead screw, but I'm just going to be working with this part for now. So what's going to happen is this. So I only need one of these, and I need one of these. So I went ahead and bought these longer M3 screws than I intended to originally use. I bought pressure nuts for the M3 screws. Hopefully you can see that a little bit. I bought 4 little lock washers for, again, M3 screws. and 4 regular flat washers. So what's gonna happen? Again, this one's still gonna be the top, this one's still gonna be the bottom here. So this is supposed to go like this, right? This is the bottom piece. This goes screwed against the plate afterwards. So it's meant to hold it here in place with this one on top. So that way when it pushes up, this will help alleviate the pressure on the screws by putting pressure against the plate. So that's how this is meant to work. So first I would take one of the screws, put a flat washer, goes against this here. Hopefully these flat washers are small enough for this. Seems to be a little bigger, so I might have to file them a little bit. So I'm going to show you this without it, just so you can get the idea of what I'm trying to do here. Then it would go in here like this. This one will go on top, and I need to confirm that these are lined up, but I'll do that later. Then goes your lock washer, and then goes your pressure nut. Again, I had to buy this a little longer because I couldn't find the shorter one that I was looking for. So just give me 1 second, and I'm just gonna get a tool to be able to tie this up. Alright, so I bought these at a hardware store. They're making my life a little easier. So basically, you know, just gonna do one of these to show you more or less how it's gonna work. You just have to make sure that the side that's here is basically flat against it. So as I can see from here, this one's not flat against it, which is not a huge issue for me, but I'm just gonna flip it around because these need to line up as best as possible. So let's try this side. There we go. I need to put the flat end with the flat end. And forgive the quality of this, but I'm just showing you this for your information. Hopefully it's being useful. So yeah, these look fairly lined up for the most part. I think I should be fine because I'm using M3 screws. So this will go here. I'll take this, tighten up the nut. I think you can see right there going in. Again, I'm using the lock washer just for safety's sake. And I'm not going to tighten it all the way because I still need to adjust this. So that's one. Technically, I don't really need the washer down on the bottom. I just felt, you know, I like to use washers just to avoid it scraping. So let's just make sure that I could get all the screws in before I continue. So as you can see, even with a little variance, I'm able to get all the screws in. So again, goes lock washer, lock nut. Again, you know, I got pretty big hands, so this is kind of small. So let's just do this one just so they don't come out. Sorry if I'm moving my hands around a lot, but I'm trying to focus more on what I'm doing here than alignment with the camera. And since I'm zoomed in, it makes it a little bit more challenging. Yep, that one went out. Let's try this again. Just take your time when you're doing this. So I'm not going to tighten these. I just want to show you more or less how it's going to go. So as you can see right there, that's pretty flat right here. And that's going to go right there. It goes right through. You can see it right there. So what will happen is, this is going to go against the plate. It's tied on. through these two screw holes here that I'm going to tap in a bit. So as this puts pressure, when this is pushing up, it'll keep it from going up like this, because this is going to put counter pressure this way. So that's why when I tighten it here, that's all I really need. If I wanted to, I could have tapped this one as well, drilled it and tapped it, but I did not think it was necessary, and we're going to find out if this works out for me. The point of this is that it holds it in place. So the reason that I'm putting it on the bottom instead of the top, as common sense would probably tell you, you put it on the top, you tie it on, and then just pass it through here, is that gravity will push this down. So if this is tied on, even if these come loose a little bit, which they shouldn't, but you're basically, this works as a little table and it holds it in place. Instead of here, you're gonna have pressure of the weight trying to pull this down instead of this holding it up. So I'm hoping that'll be more stable as it pushes up and gravity pulls it down as the lead screw is turning. But that's my design that I came up with. Hopefully it works well. Obviously we're gonna find out once I finish assembling all of this. What I'm gonna do next is tap these, and I'll show you a video of tapping one of these just in case you've never tapped before. Just in case you're wondering, I will put the dimensions of the screws that I used, and in case I forget, these are M3s, 30 millimeters long, and I bought them at the local hardware store. I think in total, between the screws, the nuts, the washers, I probably spent about $5-6 in total, so it wasn't too bad of an expense. You know, of course, before I would have just had to buy the screws if I had done this drilling properly, but either way, it wasn't too expensive of a mistake, and I'm still gonna get a good end result, I believe.